Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. My name is Sydney, and if you are new here, this is just a place where we can talk about true crime, spooky scary stories, dark history, or anything else I got going on in my brain. It's the spookiest time of the year, friends. Oh my goodness, I am really feeling in the fall spirit. So I decided for this video, our pre-Halloween video, that I wanted to dress up like a character from one of my favorite movies. Scream, bitches. If you don't know, it's Scream. Okay, I'm Drew Barrymore from Scream. Not a big wig gal, but I decided 'tis the fucking season, okay? So yeah, we're here. I can't decide what my favorite part of fall is. The yummy food, the apple orchards, the pumpkin patches, oh, the candy, the dressing up, the horror movies. I'm here for all of it. But I think actually one of my favorite parts of the season is sharing spooky ghost stories with friends and family. So I thought it'd be fun to talk about some lovely spooky lore from all around the globe. So without any further ado, let's get into the video. According to Indian folklore, and by Indian I mean both Native American and Hindu mythology, the Akari is something to be frightened of. This spirit usually appears as a little girl, frail, weak. She usually looks extremely sick, and she's usually wearing clothes of either ragged cloth or buckskin. But this isn't actually her true form. Although it's rare to see her in this way, the Akari actually is a large skeletal figure with long claws and glowing red eyes. The origins of this myth are obviously cloudy. We don't even really know if it originated from India or from the United States, but the story goes that there was this young girl and she died very quickly from a horrible, painful disease. And she came back as the Akari. And her only goal is to spread this deadly disease to anyone that she encounters. She wants the living to now endure the same torture that she had to go through. According to legend, the Akari will come down from the mountains, usually singing, dancing, and even sometimes playing a drum. She will then approach an unsuspecting child, and she usually will target children because they're less suspicious of a newcomer. It's even said in some versions that she will retreat if she happens to see an adult figure. Anyways, once these two begin to interact, the Akari's shadow will fall over the child, immediately infecting them with the Akari's plague. Soon this unsuspecting victim will fall prey to this disease and will pass very quickly. But not only that, the disease will immediately spread to the surrounding people in the village, basically causing a mass extinction of the area. Every person that dies from this illness only makes her stronger. It's a never-ending cycle of death and destruction when the Akari is around. This spirit is obviously terrifying and ruthless, but that doesn't mean that she's unstoppable, and there are a few ways to keep the Akari at bay. She's attracted to movements and gatherings of people, and that can include things like holidays, festivals, weddings, even funerals, so it's important to stay alert during these times. In Hindu mythology, it's said that placing an altar up in the mountains far away from any villages is something that can keep the Akari satisfied. Other times, the sick can be put into a trance, and that can help the village gain information about what kind of sacrifice can be made to keep the Akari happy. Donning the color red appears to be a great Akari repellent. This can include things like bracelets, beads, amulets, and clothing. Another classic remedy that seems to work for most spirits and ghosts is, of course, salt. Sometimes a ring of salt is placed around certain homes or even entire villages. Other times, children carry around their neck a bag of salt inside of a red bag to keep the Akari away. The Chippewa seem to have a more direct approach to deal with this spirit. Usually a medicine woman is called, and she will bless a red piece of fabric and then try to put it over the head of the Akari, which seems like a difficult task, but if it's done right, it will make this spirit completely disappear. The chiang-shih, or hopping vampires, were spirits that were originally described and seen in China. These ghouls are created when somebody dies a violent death, for example, something like murder, drowning, or suicide. It's thought that this transformation occurs between the time that a person dies and the time that they're buried, because in between this period, a soul is very restless. So postponing a burial in any way can cause a chiang-shih to rise. Their appearance can vary depending on the account, but usually the chiang-shih are very human-like, but with pale green skin, sharp pointy teeth, glowing red eyes surrounded by dark circles, and they'll usually walk pretty stiffly because, well, they're dead. In my head, it looks like a mixture of our boy Frankie back here and a vampire, and then they kind of walk like a zombie, you know, like in all the movies, they kind of like walk like this. That's how I imagine it in my head anyway. In some versions of the story, it's said that the chiang-shih hop around from place to place because it's easier than walking. These spirits are known to be extremely violent, attacking people at random, sexually assaulting them. They'll even rip off an arm or a head or two if they feel so inclined. In later renditions of the chiang-shih, it's said that they even suck the blood of their victims. And I think this is interesting because this is taken from the Western mythology of our modern day vampire, but it was just adopted into this Chinese legend, which I think is very interesting. With time and experience, the chiang-shih can learn how to do things like fly, shapeshift, and they even grow locks of this beautiful white flowing hair. Oh, they get a makeover once they've developed, okay? If you're feeling a little bit nervous about being attacked by this guy, don't worry about it. I've got a couple of surefire ways to keep the chiang-shih at bay, okay? So, of course, being kind of like a little vampire boy, garlic and salt, perfect. Perfect protection right there, okay? But if you are still a little bit scared, you can actually put a board across your front door, and this prevents the chiang-shih from hopping in because they'll just hit the board and they won't really know what to do with it, okay? They will just walk away. If you happen to encounter a chiang-shih in the wild, try to hold your breath because these spirits are actually blind and they use their heightened sense of sound to find their prey. And furthermore, you can actually use this to your advantage by making loud sounds that resemble thunder and things like that to scare them away. So I'm sure that this has cultural significance and I don't know the full extent of it all, but there is something that says if you scatter grains along the road that the chiang-shih travels, they have to stop in their tracks and count every single grain that you scattered. And then while they're distracted, you can use a broom and just like push them away from the area, and that's a good way to get rid of them. I wish I could do that with people. I don't like you. Get the fuck out of here and just sweep them bitches away. Sweep them away. But let's say none of these things work and you still have this infestation of the chiang-shih. A Taoist priest can be called in and they will use talisman, these powerful symbols written on strips of paper, and they will just put the talisman on top of the chiang-shih's head, which is just like such a funny image, like "Be gone, beast," and just like putting a piece of paper on their forehead. Then the Taoist priest will ring a bell, and with each ring, the chiang-shih will be commanded to hop out of the village. But sometimes this doesn't even work, and the Taoist priest will have to resort to violence, striking the spirit down with a sword made of either wood or copper. Once the ghoul has been taken care of, they are either cremated or buried in a new grave protected by spells. Our next ghost, the Cheryl, is prevalent in mostly South Asia. These spirits are usually of lower class women that died in particularly horrific ways. These can include dying during or after childbirth, after suffering a miscarriage, during the menstrual cycle, or even just dying in a traumatic way in general. Other accounts, though, say that any woman who has died with unsatisfied desires can come back as a Cheryl. But either way, no matter how the spirit is made, their only goal is to wreak havoc on the male population. Depictions of the Cheryl change depending on what source you're reading, but they are generally considered to be unattractive. They usually have long, gnarly hair, no mouth, but tusks and a black tongue. They usually have a pot belly, and their feet are always turned backwards. That being said, though, in most stories, she can shapeshift into a beautiful young woman to lure men into her trap. She will usually dwell in the dark corners of cemeteries, crossroads, and outside of homes. Once a woman changes into a Cheryl, she'll usually start off by killing all of the men in her family, starting from youngest to oldest. And the way she kills varies depending on, the way she's feeling. Sometimes it's banging somebody to death. Other times it's killing them with a deadly disease. Other times she will trap a victim for their entire life. But it always ends up with them getting their life source drained from them. There are countless legends of the Cheryl luring men into her grasp with her attractive facade. she will kill that man and move right along to the next. There are lots of different ways to prevent the churl from haunting the men in your life, okay? The first and my favorite way to prevent all of this is simply to protect and take care of women while they are pregnant and on their menstrual cycle. And this will just stop it all from happening in the first place, okay? If we protect the women when they're alive, they won't have a reason to come back and be like, you fucked up and now I'm gonna bang you to death. But if the unfortunate does occur, the body is usually taken out a side door to prevent the churl from then re-entering the home. The body is then blessed and covered in panchagavya, which is a mixture of different cow products. Then the body is buried in a specific way to prevent the spirit from rising. For example, sometimes the woman is buried on her stomach. Other times her body is covered with thorns and heavy rocks to keep her down. And even sometimes the body is like tied or nailed down to the coffin to keep the body in place. Then once it is decided how the body will be laid, the coffin is either burned, buried, or tossed into a river. In certain circumstances, the earth where the woman died is dug up and mustard seeds are planted in its place. It's said that the sweet smell of the blossoms will keep the churl away from the place that they died. According to Greek mythology, the Cares are children of Nyx, the goddess of darkness. She was one of the first entities on Earth, so even the Olympians feared her. So it's no wonder that the Cares inherited this same sense of terror to all that encountered them. Other tellings of the Cares' origin story say that they escaped from Pandora's box. Now, if you don't know, in Greek mythology, Pandora was the first human woman on Earth. Zeus ended up giving her this box and telling her not to open it. But of course, being a dumb human, Pandora decides to peek inside the box, and all of the evils and horrors of the world were unleashed, leaving only hope within the box. Once released, the Care's only duty was to be the cruel and cold death for the people that died in a violent manner. They don't have any relationships with any of the other gods or goddesses. They are fully engulfed in their role. They also can't be bribed or swayed in any way. They are simply an entity that comes and takes those who have died. These spirits will usually appear as women with large dark wings and bird-like features, and sometimes they are shown with talons and sharp teeth as well. They were said to swarm the scenes of violent battlefields and plague-ridden areas like vultures, waiting for the right moment to descend onto their victim. They would then tear out the person's soul and send it down to Hades, before ripping up the body and draining it of all of its blood. Although there's no way to stop the Cares, it's said that during battle, the gods would rally around their best soldiers and protect them from the grasp of this spirit. Evidently, it was also said that in ancient Egypt, people would put tar around their door frames in hopes that the Cares would get stuck if they tried to make their way through. To me, the spirit perfectly encapsulates the cold and unwavering grip of death. No amount of money, bribes, or good words to the man upstairs can prevent this inevitable fate. And that's it. That's all I have for you guys today. I really hope that you enjoyed. I got this book. I actually have to show you guys because I've had it for a while and I'm really just now getting into it. But my partner got me this book called Ghosts and Spirits. And this is just like a giant encyclopedia of ghost stories and spirits and paranormal investigators, all the best of the best in this book. So I got all of the ideas for these spirits from this book. I think what I found so interesting about 3 out of the 4 of these spirits is that people used to explain the unexplainable with ghosts and spirits. And I think that's something that we do still now to this day. Although we have more information, there is so much that is unknown, and we use ghosts and spirits to explain those things. Like, for example, the Akari. That's obviously a way to describe a disease wreaking havoc on an entire town, wiping them all out. And they were using these remedies that they thought could prevent this spirit from coming and infecting all of these people. Same thing for the churl. This was obviously a way to explain the horrible ways that woman died. But yeah, I really hope that you guys enjoyed. I don't know when this video is coming out because I'm a procrastinator, but it should either be like a day or 2 before Halloween, I'm assuming. So I hope that you guys are looking forward to our Halloween video. It's almost done. It's something I've never tried before. I'm very excited about it and I'm nervous, and I hope that you guys are looking forward to it too. But yeah, so if you don't watch tomorrow's video, I just want to say happy Halloween, happy spooky ooky season. Let me know in the comments below what spirit was your favorite, first of all, but also if you're dressing up, what are you being for Halloween? I gotta go, guys. I hope that you have a lovely, wonderful day, and I will be talking to you guys soon. Keep being the bad bitches that you are. Goodbye, guys.